Hi guys, and welcome back to another video again with the Powers. I'm Jake, and in today's video I'll be giving you guys my review of the board game Terrorscape, coming to you from Ice-Mate Games. As always guys, the new format with our reviews, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about the game, feature the game a lot more in the table, and so these features are going to be broken down into 7 different categories, right? We have theme, components, the setup, the length, the difficulty, the replayability, and the price of the game are the different 7 categories we're going to be breaking the game down into. Then I'll be giving you guys my overall rating, and then at the end of that, because most of these games that we talk about and we review, I have backed on Kickstarter, so I will give you my thoughts on if I had the opportunity to back that game again, would I do so? But today's video, guys, we're getting to it. Terrorscape, the hidden movement game, again coming to you from Ice-Mate Games. So let's go ahead and just dive right into the review. So starting off with the theme, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give the theme here a 9.5 out of 10. Man, I wanted to give this theme a 10 out of 10 so bad, but for me, I feel like to give a game a 10 out of 10, you're essentially saying a game is perfect, and there are about 1 or 2 small little things in Terrorscape thematically that would not really make sense in an actual horror scenario and a situation like that. So therefore, I cannot really give it that 10 out of 10. But let's go ahead and jump down to the table, guys, where I'm going to talk about the mechanics of the game and how all of that are going to tie into the theme. Okay, so down here at the table, guys, I got everything set up as if you were to play a game of Terrorscape. Now bear with me here, because one side is going to be very well lit, the other side is going to be dark, but I just wanted to show you this example of what the game would look like with this nice screen, this mansion screen here in the game. So essentially, Terrorscape at its core is a hidden movement, guys, where one side, the side closest to me, is going to be the survivors, and the other side over here is going to be the killers. On the survivor side, your goal is to go around the board and take a couple different actions, and you are trying to escape or have the police come to the scenario here and basically be your backup to try and take out of the killer. And on the killer side, his goal is to try and hunt down all the survivors and kill at least one. So if he was able to do that, he is successful. And so this is branded as a hidden movement game, and man, it works really, really, really well. Phenomenal job here. This player screen that you guys see right here, I will dive more in depth of that and talk about that in a second. But this player screen does a really good job of shielding the other side, so it's kind of hard for you to see. And I don't know if you guys saw it in the beginning of the video, but that thing is actually pretty large. I mean, when I stand the box up from the bottom of here to the top, you know, it's going to cut off right there. So looking at it from the side, so from where my finger is all the way down, that is essentially pretty much to right there. That's how big this shield is. So it is big enough to where I'm not going to be able to see the other side when I'm sitting across from them. So really did a good job here with this shield. And what's awesome is this shield here also serves as a bunch of different things. There's a little dice tower right here on the left hand side. You got a track here, you got the player's health here, and this is where you're going to put all of the keys. Okay, so I just want to show you guys how all this is set up. What I'm going to do is take this and move this player screen real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and put the boards together so you guys can see them a little bit better, and we're going to continue to talk about the mechanics of the game. So like I said, one side is the killer, one side is the survivors. As the survivors, you're going to be taking different actions. It's basically just moving around the board. Your objective is there's 3 different rooms here where each of these survivors are going, where you have the opportunity to search a deck, the key deck, and you are trying to locate a key, okay? Once you find 5 keys, you can then essentially escape by everybody either being in the main hall, or if you have the secret map everybody leaves throughout the hidden exit, okay? You will automatically win the game if you start your turn and everybody is on that thing. The other way to win the game is once per turn, somebody can go in here and repair this radio. All right, and after 5 times of repairing the radio, it will signal the countdown of the police. And so there's 5 turns that's going to take the police to get down here to provide that backup to get the killer. So that is essentially the survivor side. What's also cool about this survivor side, the only information as the survivor that you are going to relay to the killer is when you make noise. So there'll be certain actions in the game where you're going to be making noise, like for example, maybe a special power, or if you have this card right here, I can make noise in adjacent location, right? Throwing a whiskey bottle of sorts, or whenever you draw a key, there's going to be some markers up here at the top that will generate noise for you. And so you're simply going to have to place that noise out in the location that you generated. So once all 3 characters take their turns, you're going to put all your noise out, and then at the end of all of the survivors' turns, once everybody has taken a turn, you will then inform the killer, like, hey, we made noise in B4 and we made noise in B5, okay? So then as the killer, what you'll want to do is put those noise markers in those respective locations to signify that you know somebody made noise there, so there was some type of activity happening in those 2 areas, okay? That is the only information that you will be giving to the killer, unless the killer has some cards that will ask the survivors some information, like there's something called a sense, where the killer will say, hey, I'm sensing the blue areas, so is anybody in blue? And as the survivors, you might say, well, you sense 1 person or something like that. So each killer is different in that regard, but that's the only information you're giving to the killer. All right, as the killer over here, guys, you must inform the survivors of everything that you're doing. So anytime you're moving, anytime you're searching, you must tell them, I'm moving from G5 the garden to B4 the storage, so that the survivors can replicate that on their map. Anytime you play one of the cards from your deck, you're going to tell the survivors what that does, and so you must relay all of your information to the survivors so they know where you're at all times. So it works really well, because one side is the killer side. You're going to have to deduce where these survivors are. Survivors, you're trying to run around the mansion and try and find different things, and so it's super thematic in that sense. The 2 kind of things that bug me just slightly, but not a whole lot, is there are certain situations where, like, let's say the killer is in the kitchen. Now, if you look at this kitchen on the board, there is nowhere to hide in this area. There are situations where, like, if the killer is in B3 and it's the survivor's turn, I could move through the kitchen and then move into the storage area, right? So I could essentially move through the killer into a new location behind him, or I could even move into his same location and just kind of hide out there. Thematically, I find that a little like, I highly doubt that if you're in this kitchen where there's nothing to hide and he's here, as soon as you pop through this door, he's going to see you and try and trace you down. That's just a small little quirk for me. And then there's certain things where you are able to, like, for example, this whiskey bottle. This butcher killer here is actually able to barricade certain doors, and so you have these barricade tokens. I'll grab one of these out really quickly, and so you can, like, block doors from anybody entering unless they use an action to destroy that. But you can, for example, like, if I'm in the kitchen, I could use this whiskey bottle to make noise in the storage, and essentially I'm throwing the whiskey bottle through the barricade, and the barricade does not get destroyed, it stays up, okay? So I find that not super thematic, because if a door is barricaded, how am I supposed to throw a whiskey bottle at the door, okay? Again, those are 2 very small, minor things that really prevent me from giving it a 10 out of 10, because I feel like a 10 out of 10 has to be perfect. But back over on the killer side, really quick. So the killer, like I said, his objective is going to be going around trying to hunt these survivors. You have these little tokens here of each character that you will kind of guess where they're at along the board, and you are simply trying to knock one of these survivors out. So these are their 3 health tiles. Whenever you attack one of these, you're going to roll, the survivors will roll these dice to try and repel you. And depending on the roll, they'll either be successful or not. But if they're not successful, they'll take damage. You flip it to this side. And if they take damage again while on this side, then a survivor is defeated and the killer will win the game. So that is essentially how the mechanics of the game tie into the theme. I think Ice Makes Games did a great job here with making you feel the intensity, the suspense. You know, there's certain times where like you're either on the same space as the killer or right next to the killer, or like let's say you're like, I'm just going to move into the same room as the killer and hope that he doesn't search that area or something like that. And so it works really, really well. And overall, a great theme and great mechanics. So 9.5 out of 10 for me. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the components. As always, guys, we're going to jump down to the table. I'm going to go over all the components in the game. I'm going to go over the storage solutions in the box. And then that's when we're really going to dive into that player's screen. Okay, so we are back down here at the table, and I'm going to try and move through this very quick and just highlight certain things. So obviously we have the different boards. I love how each side has their own specific board. Each board is a copy of the same map, and man, I love the map. Everything is distinct. The wording on the map is very clear cut. There's no confusion here. I love all the details and the artwork here of these boards. Now these boards are not super thick. I do have a worry that over time, the constant flipping of these boards, they will flip in half here. Let me move some of these cards real quick. These boards will flip in half just like so, like this, to go ahead and store, but of course you have this crease, and so I get super nervous if you're trying to rush, you know, a finger gets caught, or you're trying to move fast, that this little split right here can crack and bend, and then it's gonna kind of mess up the board itself. So that's just a little tidbit for me why I'm a little bit worried. But the artwork here, the production is phenomenal, okay? You have cards in the game. These are these mini Euro style cards, nothing too fancy about them. They all have really good artwork on there. The wording is very clear cut, easy to read, and they just feel like generic small Euro cards would feel like. The miniatures, man, these miniatures are really awesome. You know, they're not like Awakened Realms quality miniatures, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring this butcher up close to the camera to kind of show you guys what this is going to look like here. So you can see the details here on this butcher, his back muscles here, his shoulder muscles, bicep muscles. He's got a little teddy bear right there. So even though these miniatures, again, like I said, are not that Awakened Realm superior super quality, this is a excellent mold here with these fine, intricate details. Amazing job from Ice Makes here doing that, okay? Other than that, you got some nice cool dice here that I love have this horror theme on them. You got some other boards in the game and other just tokens that are just very generic, nothing special about them. The cards of the killer are just typical 52 deck playing card feel and style, but each killer is going to have their own special back to differentiate all the characters in the game. I love these artworks here on each card. Okay. That's pretty much all of the actual tokens, resources, and minis. Let's go ahead and talk about storage. I think they did a phenomenal job with the storage here. Each side is going to get their own special storage tray, okay, that is going to hold all the components of that necessary side, right? So your killer side is going to have all these killer boards here. The killer is also going to have their own specific board, given information and stuff on the back. They're going to have everything they need. The tokens, the cards, and the little health tiles will be in their sheet, all right? The survivor side, same thing. They're going to have these cool little bases, these player bases, some more generic tokens. Each survivor is going to have their own individual board, okay? So you got Johnson, Marco, William, and you have Anna Kendrick has their own board. Each survivor is going to have their own passive ability. Some might have 2, and some might have a special action that you'll be able to take on your turn instead of moving. Okay, and then on top of that, you guys will get a item board. Okay, now for the survivors, I don't really use the item board a whole lot, sometimes just to save space, but essentially how that would look is you would do something like that, and there's a slot there to have all of your items. Okay, other than that, like the survivors tray is just going to have all the tokens you need, but everything for the survivors will go in there. Everything for the killer is going to go in here, so it makes setup very, very easy. Okay, miniatures are going to have their own little tray right here, just like that, where you're going to fit everything nice, perfect. Tray is actually small and will fit nicely in the box. The last tray right here is going to hold some of the components of that player screen. You'll put some of these pieces down in here, and then the dice tower will go on top in here, and it's going to go in a box as well. Like they've really done a good job with the storage solutions here of that big player screen, making it very easy to get into the box and pack up with you and not make it a chore. Okay, the last thing, guys, let's go ahead and talk about this player screen. So like you see here on top, this is where the killer is going to have some information, where the health cardboards are going to go right in here. This side over here to your left is going to be the round tracker for the police if you do manage to complete the radio. And then over here on the right hand side is going to be where you're going to slide all of these keys. Now this I'm very impressed with this board or screen here. I love the thematicness of it being like the mansion, part of the mansion. This thing put together is very sturdy. It's not really shaken at all. It's not flimsy. They did an excellent job designing this, and it's actually very easy to take apart and put together. So I'll take it apart piece by piece right now and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So you'll just slide this top piece off right here, just like that, and you're gonna fold it. You'll take this side off, okay, and then this will slide out. Take these two little pieces right here, and then you're gonna slide this right hand piece off. So sorry if that was a little off camera, guys, and you couldn't see it. But then what you're gonna do is you'll take this dice tower here and you'll just kind of slide it out, and then all you need to do is lift up one side of the board here. If I can get this off. All right, you'll lift up one side of the board, okay, and this board is gonna fold in half just like those player boards. So you will fold it in half. Again, my worry with this board, however, is that this crease right here, if you get something caught or you're just rushing, it does have the tendency to stretch a little bit and maybe peel. I accidentally got my finger caught in here one time, and it did separate a little bit. You might be able to see it down here, but it's still being able to set up. There's no really significant damage to be able to do that. And then you'll just lift the other side up, and you'll go ahead and peel it like this. And like I said, these two pieces will fit in the box itself. And then what you're gonna do is all these little pieces right here are going to go down in underneath this little box right here. All right, and then the dice tower itself, all right, the way you take this apart is you slide this bottom out. All right, you're gonna go ahead and slide this last piece here, and you're gonna go ahead and just flip it around on the back side, and you'll attach it right here, and then drop that on top in that shield, and then put this on the bottom as well. So they make this thing very simple, very easy to put together, and then once it's put together, it is all sturdy. Okay, actually the last couple components I have here, guys, is the rule books and survival guide. Okay, so I love how the game does come with this survival guide. In this guide, it's going to tell you about every single killer in the game. It's going to talk about the stuff that's on their actual board, that small little player board. And it's also going to have some advice on how to deal with the killer. They'll also have some stats here on the side, like threat, search, agility, control, and growth. And you can find what these mean in the actual rule book, and so each of them have their own specific strengths and weaknesses. So I love that you have this as starting out a first player. You can kind of read about killers, and then they have items and things like that. So this is very handy for both sides, especially for the killer, to just kind of reference the cards in his deck and things like that. So I love that they put this in the book. Okay, here's what else I love is they separated the rule book into two different booklets. So everything in the rule book about the killer, they have a killer booklet that you can hand to the killer with a quick reference guide. Everything in the rule book about the survivors, they made their own separate survivor booklet and its own quick reference guide. So when you're playing, you also have the actual rule book, which has all the rules of the game and everything from the survivor booklet and killer booklet combined. But I love how it's just like, okay, survivors, you take this booklet, killer, you take this booklet. It's going to give you about 90% of all the information you need to know. And then if there's any small little questions that come up, you guys can reference the actual rule book. Also love that in the actual rulebook itself, they tell you how to store stuff back into trays. So it shows you that this is how the trays are going to lay in the book. They tell you what pieces go in the actual tray. So in the survivor's tray, where all the items go. Killer's tray, where all the items go. The miniature layout of where the minis go, and then everything that goes in that dice tower tray. They also give you very clear cuts, assembly instructions for that player's shield and everything like that. I mean, it's just phenomenal job here with the rulebook in the back and doing that. I found myself in the rulebook, there are some little translation issues, but other than that, I think it's really, really well done, and you are going to be able to play it clearly. Alright guys, moving on to the setup here. I went ahead and give the setup an 8 out of 10. I'm going to go ahead and jump down to the table real quick. I'm going to set that player screen, or that big shield of the mansion shield. I don't know what to actually refer it as. The screen, shield, whatever, mansion screen. I'm going to go ahead and set that up for you guys right here on camera so you guys can get a feel of how easy it is to actually set up. And then I've already broken it down for you, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the rest of the review. All right, look guys, the setup is super simple, super easy. Just get all your pieces out that you need. You'll start with these three, and you're just going to take one board, and this is an easy way to determine what board faces what direction, right? So at the bottom of the board here, you'll see three little slits, okay? You see on the game board, there's three little slits, so you want to match them up. So I know that this side is going to face the killer, okay? Or survivor, one side, whoever's on that side. So I'm going to lay this straight up just like this. I'm going to take these three little pieces here, and actually I'll do it this way. I'm going to take these three little pieces, and we're going to go ahead and face them just like this, and we're going to put them underneath each respective spot. So it's boom there. All right, we're going to go boom there. And then we're going to go boom there. All right, so now I got one half of the shield or screen up. I'm taking that other half, same thing. I'm going to fold it open. Make sure that the crease side is going to the inside. So it's going to go just like that. And we're going to go ahead and drop it down. This is kind of the tricky part. Okay, make sure everything is nice and secured. Okay, perfect. So now you kind of want to just squeeze it together a little bit and kind of get it set. The next thing I always like to do is take this top part, the connector will always face the killer. So you're going to pinch up here at the top. You're going to go ahead and drop one side in over here. Continue to hold and pinch, and then you're going to drop the other side in just like that. All right, fits nice, slides in perfectly. Next, I take this side. This is going to go in the same hook as part of the other, the top part. And you're just going to slide that in there just like that. Boom, you got that side set up. Now, what I like to do is put the dice tower in on this side right here. So you'll take this dice tower, like I said. You're going to go ahead and put the dice tower by sliding this onto the middle area. So that'll go in that middle area just like this. Now your dice tower is set up, except for this piece right here. You slide this piece down here in the back just like this. And I do apologize, guys, if any of this is off camera so that you cannot see. I'm trying to make sure, I believe all this is in camera, okay? you're going to go ahead and slide that in just like that. This is going to kind of serve as the bottom here of the dice tower. So then I go ahead and slide that dice tower in just like that and make sure it's pushed in nice and good. Okay, now the next thing to do, we're going to assemble this part. So you take this little thing, bend it here. One side is going to go right there just like that. The other side is going to move down. All right, then the last thing we need to do, guys, the very last thing is we'll take these two pieces. What I do is you want to face this little slider in this way. Put this in there like that, slide it in, slide that side in, and then you are just going to put it in just like that, slide that thing through, and boom, everything is assembled. So, it took me about 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully, I believe so, to set that up. So very, very easy. You'll put everything on top. Obviously, you'll put boards on both sides. You'll get those trays for each character, and you'll set out everything that you need to set out. Very nice, very simple, very easy. Okay, moving on to the length, guys. So on the box of Terrorscape, it says 30 to 45 minutes, and man, they hit that right on the mark. I'm going to go ahead and give the length an 8 out of 10 here. I think the length is great for this game. There are some games that move quicker than that 30-minute, and sometimes they're not so fun. It's just because you might be playing a certain character and it's not an early game character, and the survivor side managed to find all 5 keys or something like that, or they get super lucky and repair the radio, and so the game ends within that 20-minute threshold. There's sometimes that can happen. Obviously, sometimes games can go a little longer depending on the player count, but I found at the 2-player, majority of your games are going to be in that 25 to 35 minute range here for the length of the game, so I think it's great. 8 out of 10. All right, guys, moving on to the difficulty. As always with the difficulty, the lower the number, the easier we feel the game is. The higher the number, the more challenging we feel the game is. I'm going to go ahead and give the difficulty here a 5 out of 10. Now, I want to put an asterisk next to that because the killers do raise the difficulty of the game. I think the game at its core is very simple to pick up and understand. Essentially, as the survivors, you are choosing one of 6 actions to take on your turn. You take that action, your turn is over, and once survivor takes their turn, boom, it's on to the killer. The survivor side are actually pretty simple, and then same thing with the killer. The killer is a little bit more challenging because he has certain rules that he has to follow, like, for example, there's certain color cards or iconography cards for our colorblind people in his deck. And so, like, the first one is, the first thing he can do is play lightning bolt cards. And then if the next thing he can do is play, I can't remember what the icon on the green cards are, but you have the opportunity to play a green card. If you play a green card, then you don't get to take any actions. If you don't play a green card, you get to take actions. And then it's like, if you don't encounter anybody, you can play a purple card, which is like an up arrow. If you do encounter anybody, you don't get to play a purple card. So there's a whole order of steps that the killer has to follow, and so that can be a little confusing to pick up the first time you're playing the game. But once you kind of get that rotation down, it's super simple, it's super easy. The killer, you want to cycle through your deck pretty quickly. The other reason why I'm raising this a little higher in difficulty is each killer, in the base game, there's 3 killers here. With the expansions, that adds up 2, 4, 5 killers with the other 3 expansions. Each killer is going to play differently again. Each killer is going to have that style of, some killers are going to be early game, some killers are going to be late game, some are going to be mid to late. It's going to have that fine-tuned balance, and so you can become kind of frustrated if you're playing a late game character and the survivors get lucky and happen to find all 5 keys within the first couple rounds. That actually happened to me. I was playing as the Spectre, who is more of a late game character, and within like the first 6 or 7 rounds, all the keys were found and they were managed to escape before I really got to build the Spectre up to get going. So the challenge that you're going to face there is understanding your killer's playstyle and learning how to navigate all of that. Okay, moving on to replayability here. I'm going to go ahead and give the replayability a 10 out of 10. Look, I think this replayability is the sweet spot of the game. It's phenomenal. One of the reasons why is this game just moves so quick, 25 to 35 minutes for 2 players. The second thing is obviously all the different killers. In the core box, like I said, you get 3. In the expansions, you get more maps, more killers. You can change them out. Killers are played on different maps. And so it's just so much awesome stuff that you can do here with the game in terms of that replayability. Also, in the Kickstarter version, the stretch goals also came with perk cards, little perk cards that you can add for the killer and the survivors. And it also came with like mission cards that you can do like as the survivors to complete certain missions to make the game a little easier and more challenging for the killer as well. So there's so many options here to customize the challenge and the difficulty of the game. Because of how short it is, you want to keep coming back to it after and after again. And like everybody wants to try to be the killer one time and then be the survivor. So replayability here, 10 out of 10 for me. All right, moving on to the price. So I could not find this online anywhere currently. I don't know when it's supposed to go to retail, but we're just going to go ahead and go off what I paid for it off Kickstarter and what that Kickstarter price was and kind of guesstimate a little bit what it would be at retail. So I got the all-in. Paid $140 for that. The core box, just the core box, was $75. I do think the core box probably when it hits retail is going to be around that $99, $100 mark. I think at that price point, look, I think it's an 8 out of 10. I still think that is great value for what you're getting here. The production quality of the shield, the production quality of the miniatures here, the overall game itself and the mechanics, the way it works. If you enjoy hidden movement games, you're going to keep this in your rotation to play over and over and over again, and you're really going to get a lot of value out of this game if this is your thing. Okay, moving on to my overall rating here. Man, look, Terrorscape, I'm in love with this game. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 9.5 out of 10, okay? I very rarely ever give a game a 10 out of 10. Again, like I said, just because to me that means the game is perfect with no flaws. But boy, does Terrorscape come very, very close. For me, there's a couple reasons why. I think the first thing is this Terrorscape is what I wanted Dead by Daylight, the board game, to be. This, to me, is so synonymous with Dead by Daylight. I love that video game, used to play it all the time, and this is basically the board game version of that for me. Even though they do have the board game version of Dead by Daylight, I just didn't like the mechanics of how it worked. Here with this player screen, this shield, it feels like Battleship, and it's awesome just trying to guess and figure out all these different things out. That's kind of the first reason why I love this game so much. The second reason is this playtime. 25 to 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. It's a very short playtime, and it just works. You're able to play this multiple times in a night. The first time we played this, we played all 3 killers. Me, Sierra, and one of my friends. We all rotated playing a killer and the survivors, and it was just so much fun. It took us about, like 3 hours just because we had to learn the game a couple times. But man, once you get this game down, boom, 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 these games fly really fast. It really is like you're playing Dead by Daylight, the video game. I get into a queue, I play my match, get out, get back in the queue, I'm ready to go again. So it's super, super fun with that playtime. The last thing for me is the replayability, and I think the game as a whole, it works really, really well at 2 players, but it's very, very fun at 3 and 4 players. And you rarely see games that really, it works at all player counts. At 2-player, I mean, again, it's just like you're playing Battleship, right? And so the survivor character is obviously going to have to manage 3 survivors, but it's not that difficult because they only take 1 action, and like your goal is always the same every time. Like, I'm trying to get to these rooms to get keys so I can escape, or I'm trying to repair the radio. And so it doesn't make managing 3 characters very difficult, right? At 3 and 4 players, it's super fun because the survivors have to find a way to communicate without giving too much information to the killer. So you're like, ooh, ah, ooh, or like, should we do this? Maybe this, that, So it's super fun trying to come up with this system of how to communicate without giving the killer all that information. But that's what I got for Terrorscape. These are my thoughts and feelings on it. 9.5 out of 10 for me. This has easily shot up in my top 3 of all time. Okay, last thing, guys, if I had the opportunity to back this game all over again, would I absolutely 1,000,000%? Yes, I would back this. I would back the all-in. I really haven't even dove into all that all-in stuff yet because we've just been maximizing this core box out. So I'm excited to get into all that content. But yes, I would back it all over again. I'm so happy I backed this. I would actually get the acrylic tokens because I think that would just enhance the game even further. But you don't need those. It works well with the basic tokens. But all right, guys. Well, look, that is my reviews. Enough rambling from me. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions. If you did like this video, please comment down below. Did you enjoy Terrorscape? Have you backed it? Are you thinking about getting this when it comes to retail? Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and as always, guys, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more awesome content. All right, guys, y'all have a great one. Bye.